Hello, everyone. It's the Teachers Appreciation Week, and joining us now is a great teacher. At lunchtime, we have with us Miss Eunice. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Very nice to be on the BalmCo.
We
Welcome to my
appreciate.
classroom.
Nice, nice. It's good to have you, and your classroom is so beautiful and neat.
Thank you.
So let's just get right into it. So we'll be talking about, your children, the students, and your, building their life. We honor you as teachers, life builders, and we appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you.
What innovative approaches have you found most effective in engaging students and promoting academic success?
So, in terms of innovation, my classroom is a very unique classroom in the sense that it is early childhood education. So the children I work with are between the ages of 2.5 to 6. So in terms of innovation, and we're a Montessori school, the Montessori pedagogy is actually very, it has been tried and tested. So it's usually best that it's not touched. So there hasn't been much innovation in terms of the way that we do our work, but our approach and in terms of content might vary to be relevant to what we do to today's world. So not much innovation in the early childhood space, but different content, I would say.
When you say not much innovation, it's not a bad thing, right?
No, and I mean not much innovation in the way that we do our work. The approach might be creative, but in terms of substance, it's still the same. And no, it's not a bad thing at the early childhood level. Yes, because the pedagogy which we follow, which is the Montessori pedagogy, is tried, it's tested, it's been here for more than 100 years, and it has worked, and it still works. So we try to just stick to the real thing.
What is pedagogy?
So pedagogy is the method which you decide to use to teach children. So we have the Waldorf, which is a pedagogy. We have the Montessori pedagogy. We have Early Years Foundation, which is a pedagogy. So here we use the Montessori system of education. So our pedagogy is the Montessori system of education.
What is the most common one which we see with traditional schools these days?
So it's kindergarten. That's the most popular one, which was founded by Frobel. There are similarities, because Montessori is, especially in terms of play, Montessori is not very play centered. Montessori is more real work oriented. So I'd say kindergarten is popular, and Early Years Foundation as well is getting popular. It's gaining a lot of traction. I'd say that authentic Montessori is still finding its place in our current society. Yes.
How do you tailor your teaching methods to meet the diverse needs of your students?
Well, so the Montessori method of education is actually set up in a way that we cater to each child's individual needs. So how Dr. Maria Montessori herself started was that she started with children who had been abandoned, as incapable of learning. But she studied these children, she observed them, and she said that it's not that these children are incapable of learning, but the educators are using a one-size-fits-all approach to the children. So she started, developing materials that she could work with, and then came up with her method of educating children. So that's what we do. We follow each child. We don't use age to do what we do. We do readiness over age. So if a child is 5 years old, I'm not going to give the child work that 5-year-olds are doing. I would give them work that is at their level. So every week we plan each child's work, and we tailor it, we customize each child's work according to their individual needs. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Awesome. So what strategies do you use to foster a growth mindset in your students?
So my children, like I said, they're in the age group of 3 to 6. So I always encourage them. One, challenges are fine. When I don't give unnecessary help, if I see them, trying to do something, I don't just go to help them. I allow them, try to do things for themselves. I encourage them to speak the truth. I encourage them to be truthful. It's okay to make mistakes, but I encourage them not to, tell lies. It's okay to make mistakes and remember that they shouldn't just have to lie and learn from their mistakes, and I tell them the truth. When they ask questions about the world, I don't give them fiction or child appropriate answers. In a way that they will understand, we tell them the way things are, and it helps them in their growth and their understanding of the world they live in, and we see that they mature really quick.
I heard you say you tell them the truth.
Yeah.
So in a world now where the people, maybe not in this side of the world, are doing this inclusivity thing, what do you think about that? So let me ask bluntly, this same-sex, in a situation whereby you have a student where the parents are same-sex, and how would you work with that? How would you tell a child? What do you think?
It's unfortunate, that the world is the way it is now, but it goes back to, and we read the Bible with the children, we let them know what is supposed to be. And we let them know that we're in a world where things might not seem the way it's supposed to be or the way God desires it to be. So we tell them, man, and when we're reading the Bible, for instance, we say God made male and female. They had children. Adam and Eve gave birth to Cain and Abel and then Seth. So we let them know that, and that even if they see things that are not what they know it should be, it's not the ideal, it's not what God wants, and children have a huge sense of, or a very strong sense of right and wrong, so they will come and they'll say, oh, I saw two men, is that normal? And they say, oh, no, actually, but yeah, some people do that, but no, that's not how God wants it to be.
Okay. How can teachers and parents work together more effectively to support children's learning and development?
Okay, so they say it takes a village to raise a child, and honestly, it takes collaboration between the educators and parents to raise children. For instance, we follow the Montessori pedagogy, where I work, in the school I work at, and we are all about independence. So if the children come to school and they are doing things for themselves, they're feeding themselves, they're washing up themselves, they're even ironing by themselves. You don't have to give them an iron, but then if they're doing so many things for themselves, and then they go home and then say everybody's doing things for them, they're not encouraged to do things for themselves, or they go home and then they're just in front of a screen all day. Because they're only in school for 8 hours, right? And then they go back home, they're home for the rest of the day, and then they're home all weekend. So the school cannot be the primary place they learn. The home is the primary place they learn, and the mother is the child's primary educator, especially at the early childhood level. We are only supporters, and can I just mention that the difference is clear? The parents, at both mother and father, are the primary educators, So if we have a mom who says, oh, I don't want my children to, have screen time and all that, and the father is like, give me my phone, let them play games and all that, it's counterproductive, and it goes by really fast. It might seem like, oh, I'm busy and all that, but honestly, these children go really fast. So it's worth the sacrifice. And I just want to mention that the difference is so clear between those parents who are intentional in how they raise their children to be independent, to do things for themselves, who are intentional about continuing learning at home. The difference is really, really clear. So we encourage parents, work with us, understand what we do, and then carry on at home. We're only supporting your work. We're not your children's primary educators. We're just supporting parents and moms especially.
You've been doing well so far. We appreciate you so much for your work that you do. May God continually give you strength and grace to do what you do.
Thank you. Amen.
What communication methods do you find most helpful in keeping parents informed about their child's progress?
Okay, so practically in my classroom, and I'm very, very thankful for the parents that I work with because they're very, very responsive. So I don't necessarily use email, or communicate by phone a lot of times with my parents. I call them, I drop a message on them, with an instant messaging platform. We sometimes we see at the school, but I tend to carry them along, if possible, on a daily basis. If something is not going well as it should be, I don't keep it to myself. I let the parents know immediately. And if something is also going well, I let them know that, oh, your child was so amazing today, like this is what happened and all that. So just calling, instant messaging, and then seeing. Yes. Of course, in addition to the regular, parent-teacher conference that we have at the end of the term to do the term overview. But then when we have been communicating regularly, those meetings are usually just, it's not, I'm not having to start from scratch, because they're already in the know, so they're not necessarily caught by surprise by anything.
How can we strengthen the partnership between the home and school to benefit our children?
So, parent education is very important. Parents need to understand what the school is doing. So, workshops for parents come in, be in the environment, sit on the chairs that the children sit, work with the materials that they use, understand, for a school like ours, especially that doesn't use a lot of writing at this level, that is not a lot of writing, we don't see a lot of things on paper. Parents need to come in to see how the children learn. I had somebody who came for PTC the other day, and he was shocked that his daughter was doing fractions and fraction equivalences, but she was doing it, of course, with the concrete materials. So parents' education is so important, so that parents understand, and then they don't feel like, oh, my child is not learning, let me go get a lesson teacher for them, or let me start teaching them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or let me start forcing them to read. When they understand what is happening in the classroom, then they're able to just work in sync. So parent education absolutely is very important.
So what are you saying about lesson teacher?
So at this level, early childhood level, which is where I am focused at, children do not need lesson teachers. Absolutely not. They absolutely do not need lesson teachers. Now, when they're more intellectually inclined, say, okay, so from age 6 to 12, we say we want them, so at the first level, the first stage of development, at age 0 to 6, we want them to be functionally independent, to be able to do things for themselves. When they're at the 6 to 12 level, we want them to be able to think for themselves. So it might be helpful where with a lesson teacher, but honestly, if your child is in a good school, you don't need a lesson teacher. Good school, good teachers, and just enough work, you really wouldn't need a lesson teacher. I don't subscribe to lesson teachers at all. Yeah.
So what motivates you to continue teaching and making a difference in students' lives?
Very, very good question, because every day I tell myself I'm done. But honestly, seeing that it works, the other day, there was a child who had been struggling with a particular material, and then I just saw her, the way she conquered that material, and I just sat on my chair, I had tears in my eyes, because it's like you're not seeing the reward of your labor immediately, and you're like, maybe I'm not just a good teacher, maybe it's not just working, maybe I should just go, because I'm a lawyer, I studied law.
I was going to come to that.
Get a week back, but then you see that it's working. And God just has a way of encouraging you, like when you're feeling almost discouraged, I don't want to continue this, you just see that, oh, it's working, and then you're rejuvenated again. So really it's the results, it's the children. It's not the because we
of course
don't
it's not the pay.
It's not the pay. I didn't want to say that because but it's not the money, it's not the appreciation that we get, it's really just the children, seeing how the children grow, especially at this level where every child I work with is for 3 years if they've joined earlier. So to see when they were 2.5 and then seeing them by the time they're moving up to elementary at the age of 6, it's really emotional. And then I tend to take lots of pictures and videos, so I look at it over the years, and it's so beautiful. It's so fulfilling. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, so it's not the pay. You are a lawyer. Oh, you are a lawyer.
Yes, I am a lawyer.
So being with children really requires patience and grace. How has that shaped your character as a person?
I'm still becoming, I'm still finding, myself as a teacher because like we said, I wasn't trained as a teacher. That was not what I but somehow, this is what I've been called to do. So I just realized that honestly, children don't mean harm. They really don't mean harm. They do what they know how to do. So sometimes it just takes calming down and seeing things from their perspective. They're not trying to frustrate you. They don't hate you. They're not keeping malice with you. They are very innocent. So it can get, you can't feel worked up and all that, but sometimes when you sit and reflect, so I've had to call children and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for how I spoke to you yesterday. Do you forgive me? I'm really sorry. Yes, and they're so quick to forgive. They don't even remember. What did you say to me yesterday? They're so innocent. They're so pure. Which is why, let me take it back to God, which is why God says, let the children come unto me. For such, the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. They are so innocent. They are so gullible. They are so naive. Whatever we tell them, they believe. So we have the power to shape them, to mold them into what. It's not even at the age of 6. Early childhood is so important, and most people tend to ignore that level. But if we can get it right early, that's why the Bible also says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old. So you might not see the results now, but when they go older, then you now remember that it was things that they learned when they were younger. So yeah, just children.
And what are some of the most rewarding experiences you've had as a teacher?
So in my environment, there's so many, but let me just. We write in cursive, right? We write in cursive and all that. Can I bring a sample for you?
Yeah, sure.
So this is how we use the cursive. This is we call this the sandpaper letters. So this is, the cursive method of writing. And initially, when I started trying to implement this in September, because the children were writing in print, I saw what they were doing, and I was saying, this cursive is not going to work. I better take it off, because my director was saying that we've tried this cursive thing many times, it's not working, and I was going to take it off. But then that day, I saw the boy in my class who I'll say gives me the most headache, and he was using the chalkboard and he was writing so beautifully, because I had already made up my mind that I was going to go back to print. He was using the chalkboard, he was writing so beautifully, and I was encouraged that if this boy could learn. And I'm going to bring out one of my copious files. I want to show you my handwriting when we began work and what it is now like. So this is, we keep our work in files. Children don't need books at this level. So I want to show you how she is writing. Okay, so this was how she was writing when we began. And I want to show you what she's writing like now. She's going to know somebody came to her file because she's a very neat child. So this is what her handwriting looks like now.
Wow. Left to right. Left to right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So really
awesome.
Rewarding. And
Great.
This is not even a very recent one, because I don't know how she files her work, but that's just an example. So just saying that this thing works, and the children, there's no child who's not capable of learning. That's the most rewarding. These are the rewarding. The results are the rewards. Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, we'll come to that question. What are some of, how do you stay current with the best practices in education and incorporate them into your teaching? Because I know not a lot of people do cursive now. So how do you intend to navigate that? Because I remember when I was doing my Montessori training, one of the things they talked about was how the teachers or the markers couldn't understand, how the teachers or the markers couldn't understand the children's writing because it was in cursive. So talk about that.
Good question. So my brother actually went to Montessori and he trained in cursive.
Okay.
And when he got to secondary school, his first result, he failed woefully. And my mom was wondering, why would he fail? Why would my son fail woefully? Not just fail, but fail woefully. And she said one day she woke up and she just thought it must be his handwriting, that maybe they couldn't read what he was writing. And then she called him immediately and said, don't write in cursive again, write in print. And he did it easily. So somebody who writes in cursive will easily switch to print, but somebody who writes in print will not easily switch to cursive. I just learned cursive, last year. My assistant and I, we just learned cursive together, but if it was somebody who is writing cursive, they could easily write print. It's just really about separating your letters. And we read books in print anyway, so they know what print is like. And there's some materials, of course, we read a lot in the class. All our books are in print. We have a material called the movable alphabet where the children make words. It's in print. So that way they're familiar with what print is.
Okay.
Yes.
So why is cursive important?
Cursive is so important and it's so good because one, let me tell you some advantages of cursive. Children usually mix up B and D. That's B and D because they look alike, and P, exactly. But in cursive, they look completely different. So we don't have that struggle of children not knowing B and P and D. It's not as regular. It's not as common as if we were writing in print. Two, in cursive, it aids concentration because the letters are joined, so they're not done writing until they finish the word. I remember, calling a child the other day. I was trying to get his attention because it was urgent. I don't remember why I needed to, because usually I will not interrupt them at work, but I needed to speak with him at that minute. And I kept calling him. I called him like 4 times, and he just kept going. And he was like, "Yes, Miss Eunice." So he needed to finish because in cursive you're not done until you're actually done with the entire word or sentence that you're writing. So it aids concentration. It's really good. It's really good.
So how do you stay current with best practices in education and incorporate them into your teaching?
Okay, so again, I stick to my little Montessori world. I follow people who are, doing, implementing the authentic method well. And I just keep up with what they're doing. Again, the Montessori materials don't necessarily change, but the content, say we're doing vocabulary building. So I would, give them vocabulary of things that are relevant to our society, to our day, So just reading up. I follow Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge. She is into early childhood. She has a foundation that is, it's called Early Childhood. That's actually the Instagram name, just Early Childhood. So she's dedicated to early childhood education. Jeff Bezos has Bezos Academy, which opens free Montessori preschools, for underprivileged families in America. Bezos Academy is doing well. So I just try to stay current with my little world.
That aligned with your
Yes, early childhood education, Montessori, and early childhood education in general, yes.
Awesome. How can schools better support mothers and families in their children's education?
How schools can support, again, it goes back to parent education. Taking the time to explain what we're doing with the children, taking the time to invite parents in, answer their questions, put them through, visit their homes if need be, and just let them understand and encourage them that their parents their children are capable of doing so much more than they know. I remember, seeing a mom with a 2-year-old who was carrying her daughter, and I encouraged her son, and I encouraged her, allow him work. Should walk on the steps. She would carry him when they get to steps, and I encouraged her, let him try to walk. And she said he can't walk. He has never walked on the stairs, and she let him, and he walked, and she started crying. She said, I didn't know he could walk on steps. Just encouraging parents that your children can do so much. They can learn 6 languages easily at this time. They can learn many skills. They can learn up to 4 musical instruments easily. So letting parents know that don't hide scissors from your children, don't hide needles, don't hide irons, don't hide knives. Just take your time to show them how it works, and you'll be thankful because children enjoy doing these things. They enjoy being part of the home chores. They enjoy things that seem laborious to us. They derive pleasure in doing it. So just letting parents know that their children are so much more capable of what they are probably currently letting them do now is what schools can do.
Yeah, I know that you're a teacher and not a psychologist. But
actually, you need to be a psychologist to be a teacher.
I want you to speak on parent separation, nanny change. How does it affect children in the school?
Okay, so it's a very sensitive topic, but again, we encourage parents to be transparent with us. We value privacy. We're not going to go out to tell. We've worked with all sorts of families, the high, the mighty, the low, the medium. We've worked with all sorts of families. So this is what we do, and we value privacy. So the first thing is that parents need to be transparent with us. They need to be transparent with us and let us know. That's the first thing, because we have children who have come to say, my daddy was beating my mommy yesterday. If it's a living situation that is not normal, it's not, so that we're not saying Mother's Day, Father's Day, and then we're trying to do cards, and then a child just thinks, oh, I don't have a daddy at home. But if we're aware, first of all, there is a way we would handle it sensitively. There is a way that we would handle it with understanding and with wisdom. So yes, the children are affected, but they can come to school and come to a safe place and know that they are loved, and what is happening at home is not, they're loved, and what is happening at home is not, doesn't have to affect them. I've seen a child who was putting his head on the table and asked, are you okay? And he just says, I just want my mommy and my daddy to stop fighting. I said, okay, do you want us to pray for them? I told you God answers children's prayers. So would you like us to pray for them? And then we pray for them. So it's really just protecting. We can't control what happens in the home, but we can let the children know that this is your safe space. We love you. It's not about mommy and daddy or anything. And just let them know that no matter what is going on, we can pray, and then just be sensitive in situations where it's like Mother's Day or Father's Day and talking, we would know how to handle things like that.
Thank you. So what resources or programs would you like to see implemented to help families navigate the education system?
Resources. In terms of resources, I'll say books. Getting books for children in where we live is very, very difficult, because children don't read at this level. Children don't read fiction; they read reality. That's what, because they can't separate between fiction and reality.
You say children should read. You say children don't read. Well, we do read. Some people read.
Oh yes, so yes, I meant children should not read fiction at that level. Yeah. Children should not read fiction at that level.
Like a pig talking.
Exactly, because dogs don't talk. Can I share an experience? Yeah. My nephew, who is so intelligent, who is so smart, who is so lovely, brilliant, he kept peeing on himself, and then we kept asking him, why do you keep peeing on yourself? Just go to the toilet, just go to, and he said Spider-Man doesn't have a penis. And we were like, that's because he's been seeing Spider-Man and he sees Spider-Man jumping and all that, and he has never seen Spider-Man go to the toilet. So why do I need, what is this thing on my body? What's it for? That is how the mind of children work. There is a time when they will be able to separate between reality and fiction, but at this level, we encourage, keep it real with them. Let them know about the world that they live in. Let them know about land and water forms. Let them know about animals. Let them know about plants. Every morning, I get flowers from children. I get leaves, because we are educating them about the real world. So when they see even spiders or ants, they don't just step on it and kill it, because they have the knowledge that, okay, this is an ant, it doesn't bite. Ants are really powerful animals. It's probably on its way to work. It's probably going to go call out other ants to hunt for food. So when they have an understanding, they're not scared of animals. I had a girl who was really scared of what was it that she was scared of? Grasshoppers. And after reading the book of bugs, when we went to forest school the other day, she was picking grasshoppers and even letting them like walk on her, because she had the knowledge that this thing doesn't bite, this thing is not going to harm me. So at this level, we try to give children the real world. But then if the books that are available are just Disney and fairy tales and princess, and it's not educating the children, they're not learning anything about the world. One of my children went to South Africa for the holidays that just finished, and she sent a video when she was on the plane that, hey, Miss Eunice, right now I'm here in Nigeria. She was pointing to the map. I'm in the west of Africa, and now we're going to go to the east of Africa in Kenya, and she was pointing her hand, and then we're going to go to the south of Africa in South Africa. This girl she just turned 5, but she has that knowledge because she's been exposed to the real world. So if booksellers and people who gather resources can be more intentional about gathering real books and educative books, it will really help families.
Awesome. So what innovative ideas or technologies do you think could enhance teaching and learning? So there was this debate, I think, recently about using iPads and things like that in schools. So what do you think about that? Do you think it should be abolished? What do you think?
So at the level I work at, absolutely not. We do not need iPads. Children need to learn by doing and experiencing. Children need to taste, they need to hear, they need to smell, they need to feel, they need to blindfold themselves and feel. So an iPad will never do that work, because an iPad will only isolate your visual and auditory sense, but they have their tactile sense, they have their olfactory sense, they have their gustatory sense. So they have to be able to use all of those senses. So at this level, if we could do 0 screen time for the children, perfect. Now when they get to the age of 6 to 12, because we encourage a lot of research, and the way technology has advanced, most information we can't get online, there is a place to use technology within limits and under supervision. I don't think they should be bringing it to the school. I think schools should still keep it quite very much brick and mortar in the school premises, but encourage them, okay, maybe when they're home, when they need to do research under parental supervision, I think they can use that. Yes, but I wouldn't subscribe to them really using iPads and phones in school. I've seen it happen, and I just feel like, why would they bring phones to school? Why would an 8-year-old be holding a phone in school? I think there is a place for it, but definitely not in the school premises. I feel like, because the people who did these technologies, right, they learned the brick and mortar way, and then they switched to technology, if you go back. So I think there is a place for it, just with knowledge and at the right time. It's very important.
Even adults are finding it difficult to, stop using their phone and do mindless scrolling. So how much more children who are not able to attain such self-control? How can we encourage more creativity and critical thinking in the classroom?
Creativity and critical thinking. Well, so again, the way the Montessori method of education is set up is that we don't tell children what to do. Our job is to give them what we call the keys to the world. We just give them the keys. They are the ones who open it and explore. So when we have shown them a material, we allow them to use that material, find out ways of using it, build what they want to build. We don't teach art. What we do is we make the materials available. We show them art techniques. This is shading, this is line, this is drawing a line, this is drawing a pattern, this is color mixing. So however they want to come up with what we've shown them, with the keys that we've given them, we let them do that. Critical thinking, we don't give unnecessary help. When there is a challenge, we observe. When a child is crying, I'm not going to react immediately. I'm going to watch, I'm going to observe, I'm going to see, what is happening? Is the child being frustrated about something? Can they persevere through that task before I intervene? So not giving unnecessary help, not stopping their concentration. If a child is too busy at work, not going to interrupt what they're doing, allowing them to finish what they're doing so that they have that satisfaction, not having timetables, say, oh, we're doing math at this time, okay, ring the bell, now it's time for language. No, a child can come to school and decide, I want to sweep all day, or I want to sew all day, or I want to count the 1,000 beads all day, or I want to count up to billion all day. So we let them explore, we let them come into themselves, but we don't relent in making presentations for them, showing them the materials, showing them how to use things.
Thank you. I think even though this question is unplanned but necessary, I think I speak for all mothers in this regard. Why do children have cold when they come to school? They can be at home for like 6 months, 3 months, even 1 week. The moment they resume school, they contact cold. That's like one of the biggest fears for moms, for parents.
Wow.
My child is going to school again now. They will soon, catch a cold from someone or so. Why? And what is the way forward? What do you think? How can the school help in this regard?
Okay, so you see, the immune system of children is still developing. Their immune system is not as strong as adults, because they're still developing. But I must mention that sometimes letting them go through these things is good for their immune system. They build stamina, because you see, let's say somebody from a Western country come here, they have fever, they have hay fever, they're just catching all sorts of things. But we have a bit more stamina in our immune system. But again, when children come to school, they're mixing with all sorts of children. What we try to do is encourage them to be clean. We encourage them don't have long fingernails. We encourage them when their nose is running, we encourage them, the material is there, they have a tissue, they have a mirror where they can look at it and then use it. We encourage them not to pick their nose. Use a tissue to pick your nose, or if you pick your nose, go and wash your hands immediately. So just because germs are everywhere, we encourage them to clean up, and children enjoy cleaning up. Where somewhere is dusty, when they use the surface, when they use materials, we don't share cups. We encourage them, if something has been used, don't use this, go pick a fresh one. We don't share cups. So we keep all these safeguards in place, but because their immune system is so low, it could even be just walking on the corridor to their classroom where they've contacted a germ. Before they know it, they put their hand in their mouth, and then they're reacting to it with a catarrh. I have caught cold from children. So it's just because their immune system is low, and you just can't tell where exactly it happened. But we can do things such as making sure that their nails are cut, making sure that their hair is washed. It's not nice when a young girl is coming, her hair is so rough, it's smelling, and her hair hasn't been made. It's not, just take care of the children, and then educators in their own place should ensure that children there's this book that we have at the Reading Corner called Clean and Healthy. The children enjoy that. They know about germs. They know that they shouldn't let dogs lick their face. They know that they should wash their hands regularly. We show them how to wash their hands. So when they put soap with it, we don't just encourage them to do this, and we show them that they need to wash their fingers. They need to wash their fingernails. They need to wash their wrists. They need to dry. They need to make sure they have enough soap with them. So just showing them, but it wouldn't always be like that. Eventually, their immune system will build up, and then they'll have more stamina.
Awesome. So you were talking about the child's hair being done. How can you tell from this indicator of good food, child's appearance, or their intelligence? So what's the first impression that a child is well taken care of?
Their mouth. Their mouth. When they don't have mouth odor, I know there is an intentional adult behind them brushing their tongue properly, And when they have mouth odor, I say there's probably an adult who couldn't be bothered to say, bring out your tongue. So for me, their mouth. 2, the neatness of their hair. 3, their nails being cut. for their parents.
So thank you very much. We appreciate you so much. I mean, I've done Montessori training, even though I did not pass sports.
Don't say that.
You know, it took a lot from me, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and I do what I can do, and that's because I can. But imagine if all these children depend on you. Imagine you not coming to school and children are excited to come to school and they don't meet you. And even though you want to come to school but you are tired or you can't come to school, but you still have to come to school on happy days, stress days, sick in the mind, sick in your body, sick in your head, sick in your heart, but you still come to school. We can never truly ever repay you.
That's the hardest part of my job, having to show up every day.
Yeah.
Having
Even
to
as a
show
mom,
up.
sometimes we'll go and lock ourselves up. I beg, don't kill me. I mean, I was like homeschooling my son, but I had another baby, and so I couldn't cope. You can't say you cannot cope. You have to show up, and so we're so grateful. It's a thankless job, and you don't even. Yes, let's talk about the pay. Why is it just not matching up?
Teachers deserve so much more. I didn't start out as a teacher, but coming into it, I said I would use my voice to advocate for teachers to have better standards of living. Teachers work very hard. Good teachers work very hard. Schools should try to implement things like staff buses. There's no reason why your teacher should be trekking in the hot sun after working with children all day. When schools are charging fees, parents shouldn't negotiate. We wouldn't negotiate airline flights. We wouldn't negotiate the prices of wigs. We wouldn't negotiate the prices of cars. Why negotiate the price of your child's education? When a school is charging fees, especially a school that is, because I am in the Montessori field, that is authentic to the Montessori pedagogy, which is so draining, which is so time, body, mind, spiritually consuming. If a school is charging fees, please pay it with joy and with all of your heart. Don't ask, why is your school fee so expensive? We're educating your children. Teachers deserve to enjoy the same standard of life that a doctor will have, that an engineer will have. We're literally building lives. So parents should be happy to pay their fees on time, and not to negotiate fees, and not to push back when there are increases in fees. Running a school, I don't run a school, but running a school, I'm sure, has high costs. And schools should also try to give their teachers a better standard of life. Yes, you might not be able to buy cars, but if you have school buses, you should be able to have a staff bus, even if you're meeting them halfway. Schools should be able to have some form of benefits, pension plan, home ownership schemes for their teachers. Teachers deserve, because teachers shouldn't be having side hustles. We don't have the time. Good teachers don't have the time for a side hustle. This is our life. So money should not be our problem. Money should not be a reason why we cannot work the way that we should, because we need our brains to think. We can't be thinking about where is the next meal going to come from. So schools should do what they can do and not be scared to charge. Schools shouldn't be scared to charge or scared that parents will go. People who appreciate what you're doing will come. And parents as well should do what they should do on their own side.
Thank you so much, Miss Eunice.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so much. The BalmCo thanks you and appreciates you and wishes you happy Teachers' Day.
Thank
We love you. Bye.
Bye.